Climax came out in 2018 and was brought to us by Argentine filmmaker Gaspar, who on this outing takes us to an abandoned school building where a French dance troupe is having a party/rehearsal celebration. But things quickly divulge into a hellish drug-induced nightmare after someone laces their sangria with LSD. Now, those who are familiar with Noé's work know exactly what to expect going into this. But if you don't know who Gaspar Noé is, this is a very disturbing movie. And in large part, that is due to the realism of it all. Now, most times when you have acid trips or other hallucinatory sequences in a film, or have an entire film take place in a trip like this movie, you will have visual effects or CGI or wonky filters to kind of signify that that is happening, and it kind of puts the audience in the shoes of the characters as they are going through this experience. But in this film, this is not the case. In this movie, Noé and his team decide to take more of a realistic approach and a dark and gritty approach, like how he often does in his work, where instead of special effects or fancy filters like I was talking about, the effects of the drugs and then the fear of the movie is instilled instead through some just masterful cinematography, and along with it, some incredible, mind-blowing performances. So I think I'll start there. The performances in this movie, they're on a whole nother level. And one of the major reasons for this is the length of the shots. This movie has some incredibly long takes, like probably 20 plus minutes. Multiple times in this movie, you get these massively long sequences that are all shot in camera with just, it's incredible to even fathom trying to make something like this where the camera work has to be so meticulously planned out and so perfectly executed. But then you also have all of these actors, and there's a lot of actors in this movie. Not very many big names. I think Sofia Boutella will probably be the closest thing you'll get to any star in this movie, who she's appeared in multiple things. But this movie is chock full of talent. Everyone who was in this movie, who most of whom are dancers or have some kind of background in dance or performance, are incredible. And it works so well because of the performances and because of the cinematography. And it wouldn't have been possible if either of those things faltered. This movie would not be what it is. But thankfully, everything works to a T. Like I said, some of the shots in this movie last forever and drag on, and that just heightens the sense of fear, and it heightens the realism of it too, because you're seeing all of this stuff as if you're experiencing it, but at the same time, you're kind of removed from what is actually happening because you don't have the special effects. And so it hits you with this thick wave of realism where you're seeing what is happening there even more so than the characters in the movie are. And I think the cinematography and performances are a really powerful part of what makes that happen in this film. But like I said, every performance in this movie is just perfectly on the dot. No one ever falters. They stay in character the entire time, and it's disturbing. It really is, because even in the background of shots, you'll see characters who are just losing their minds. And so the commitment that was brought to this project by everyone involved clearly shows, and it makes for a riveting experience. The movie also opens with some interviews from each of the characters who are being interviewed about their commitment to the dance team and to what dance means to them. And this is a masterstroke. Going through it the first time, I wasn't really sure what this was. I was like, this is a little off. I don't know what's going on, because you had a little teaser in the beginning of what's to come, then it goes to this. But in hindsight, this makes this movie intensely rewatchable, because having the mystery be who's done it, who has drugged everyone at this party, who is responsible for this chaos, disaster, and then going back and revisiting the beginning of the movie and seeing the interviews with everyone once you've really gotten to know the characters, gotten to know the raw inside of the characters in this movie, which you do, revisiting those interviews is really interesting, and I think that was a great idea. And this movie is very on brand for Gaspar Noé as well, just like his other features, just like Irreversible. This is a deeply disturbing film, and you'll find yourself watching this film and just feeling sick, just feeling so much resentment for these characters, but also feeling so much empathy for what they're going through, and it's sickening. It's terrible. And you know from the start, as soon as things start to pick up and as soon as you start to realize what's going on, you realize this is not going to end well. No way. The only real complaint I could imagine someone having about this movie is that there's not really much beyond it being a super disturbing thriller. And I think that same complaint could be leveled against any of Noé's films, as well as anything in that same genre that he tends to work in. But I think that very much is the point. And I think that what Noé is trying to convey with his films, and especially effectively here, is that this kind of stuff is real, and this kind of stuff actually happens, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no deeper meaning to it. This is just how it is. And so these movies are kind of cathartic of this stuff happening in real life. And so the fact that there's not much beyond it speaks to the fact that all that it needs to terrify is the fact that it's real and it happens. This is an incredible film, and I really enjoyed it. But if I had to nitpick one thing that personally didn't work for me, I think there was one sequence where the camera flipped completely 180 degrees upside down, and so everything on screen was upside down, and that part was, I don't know if that needed to be done to that extent and for as long as it did. It was very effective, but it made it hard to watch. Overall, I'm going to give Climax a 10 out of 10. Full marks. I really enjoyed this movie. This was one of my favorite movies of 2018, the year that had so many good movies. The Lighthouse, Avengers, whatever. This was a big year for movies, and I can't believe I missed this one when it came out. Seeing this in theaters would have been riveting. I highly encourage you to go check this movie out. It, I think, is one of my favorite movies of 2018. It might be on my top 10 movies of all time. I really enjoyed it. I think this is really Gaspar Noé at a climax in his career. Definitely go check it out if you can. It's on Amazon Prime for $4. Just don't watch it right before you go to sleep, maybe, like I did. And do note, it is mostly in French. Anyways, I've been Max. This has been Maxify Film Review, and I'll see you in the next one.